On March 22nd, I had the pleasure of hosting an indoor and outdoor gardening workshop for the AKA Sorority Theta Omega chapter here in the Chicago area. It was a great time. We had a nice sized crowd and everyone was very interested and engaged. I got great questions and I loved it. I was asked to record the presentation and make it available for those here in the Chicago area that could not attend, or even those outside of Chicago that were not able to come. So here's the full presentation with a few bits edited out, but it's still a pretty long video. There's also an accompanying page on my website that I will link to below that has useful links to some of the things that I talked about. As usual, if you have any questions, just reach out. Thank you for checking it out.
All right. So our presenter, Kris McDonald, was born and raised in Chicago, and she is a fellow Whitney Young alumni. Those dolphins in the room, all right. She's a wife, mother of 2 sets of twins, not 1 but 2, and a busybody. I think when I first met her, she was doing photography, right? So I've known Kris for many years, but by day she's an IT support professional at the University of Chicago, where she has been most of her adult life. She's been a blogger and influencer for about 25 years before it was even a thing. Although she had dabbled in the past, when the pandemic hit and she was stuck home, she blossomed her interest in gardening to a whole new level. And you'll see what we mean by that shortly. Now she has a beautiful backyard garden, urban garden, or actually she's in the burbs, and uses her voice to spread love of gardening to help others find the same rewarding experience and obsession. She shares on her blog, LittleTechGirl.com, Instagram, YouTube, and a growing Facebook group where almost 20,000 people share gardening photos, tips, recipes, and more each day. Without further ado, welcome Kris McDonald.
Hello everyone. My mouth is so big I don't think I need the mic, but I'll use it. So before we get started, how many people in here already consider yourselves a gardener? Quite a few. Okay, so put your hands up if you have been gardening more than 20 years. Is that? Hey!
Hi, sweetie.
Sorry, that's one of my fellow Amazon Flex people. So anyway, if you've been gardening more than 10 years, raise your hands. 5 years? 1 year. And just getting started this year, this is your very first time. Okay, we've got a good mix of folks. I've only been gardening steadily for about the past 5 years, but let's go swipe. Humble beginnings. So these came up in my Facebook memories, and I had completely forgotten. The first one is from 2013, when I had little pots of sad mint on my back deck, and I remember distinctly going out one day to cut some mint, and a bunch of Japanese beetles jumped out, and I said, oh no, that's it. And I stopped gardening then. Then 2 years later, I tried again. You can't really tell from that picture, but that's inside in the windowsill because I didn't want to deal with those bugs. And then July, I said, okay, these need to go outside, and I put them back outside. Now that was 2015, so that was 10 years ago. I didn't do anything big at that house because we didn't have a fence. The yard was in such a way that every time I went outside, I felt like everyone was watching me. So I just kind of gave up. Fast forward to new house, new neighborhood, pandemic hit, as mentioned, and I said, let me try this gardening thing again. It started with same thing, just a few pots on the patio, and that was 2020. Actually, I'm sorry, I missed something. In December of 2018, I bought one Aerogarden that was supposed to be for my daughter because she was in After School Matters with Hydroponics and Aeroponics, and I thought she would like it. It's set in the box for like 2 months, and I decided to open it myself. You'll see a picture of that in a minute. And I fell in love with it. So I added a couple more and a couple more, and eventually you'll see where I am now. So we're gonna start our talk with hydroponics. How many people have already heard of hydroponics? How many people have already tried it? I knew what you tried. Okay, so hydroponics is a method of growing plants without soil, using nutrient solution and water. And sometimes, if you talk to people that have been gardening for years and years and years, they'll tell you it's not possible. I see people in Facebook groups telling folks that they can't grow tomatoes in hydroponics, can't grow peppers, and that's just not true. There are many benefits to doing hydroponics. It's cleaner and more appealing, saves space, less pest pressure, although there is some, which we'll talk about. There's no need to buy soil and haul soil. That means you don't have to sterilize the soil. You don't have to worry about bringing bugs home from the store. And it saves on water. Even though it's all water-based, you don't have to water as much like you would with soil plants, so it actually saves water. There's much faster growth. Myself and some others have done experiments where we put the same plants in soil and hydroponics, and the hydroponics is always going to take off. The soil grows much slower. Here comes another dolphin through the door. 100% control over your nutrients. Outside, if you're in your own backyard, yes, you have control over what you put on it, but you might not know everything that was in that soil that you got from the store. If you're inside and you know you're using your water, that's what you're starting with, is your water, you know? You know the makeup of your water, or you can find out easily, and you use the nutrients that you want to use as long as they're suited for hydroponics. And then there are no weeds. No reason to get down on your hands and knees and pull weeds. You don't have to go buy the weed whacker. You don't have to worry about any of that. So your environment is as clean as you keep it. So, as mentioned before, January 2020, the system in the middle was the first one I bought for my daughter. And then I added 2 more. By May 2020, which was just a few months later, locked at home. As you see, I had that little setup in the family room, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 or 8 systems, okay? Fast forward to today, there's actually 3 areas in my home that have hydroponics in them. Now, in my defense, I am blessed that because of the influencer and blogger thing, companies do give me some systems to review, to do YouTube videos and all that. I've purchased a lot too. Marketplace gets me in trouble. Depending on what you're looking for, you can find great deals on Marketplace, like the tall one on the left there in the last picture. That is a lettuce grow farm stand. I got that on Marketplace. The tower garden I bought from a guy in my group that didn't want it anymore. And when I bought that from him, he gave me this garden right here, free of charge, because he didn't want to fix it. I said, I'll fix it. So, this is what my basement looks like today. Although this winter, as you can see, there are some empty seasons. Life has just been so hectic that I didn't have my same stamina and oomph to get it planted. Otherwise, everything would be planted out. But now it's time to go outside, so I'm not gonna worry about it. There are many different methods of hydroponics. We're gonna stick to only 3 of them today, okay? Kratky, DWC, and Aeroponics. Most of the systems that you buy out there on the market, Aerogarden, Lettuce Grow, all of those are based on aeroponics, which is simply the method of water either surrounding your roots or running over your roots. And that's what feeds the plants the nutrients, okay? Kratky is something simple you can do yourself with things that you have at home. This is a Kratky jar. This is just some Swiss chard that I snatched out of another system just to show you all how simple this is. So this is a ball jar, half-gallon amber-colored ball jar. The reason I use the amber-colored one is because they hold out 99% of light, which means algae won't happen in your jar. Algae comes from light interacting with the nutrients, okay? So all you need for this is really 3 parts. The jar, this is a 3-inch net cup. I've got my plants. It's in, if you can see here, It's in kind of like a grow plug that I snatched out of my Click and Grow, and then I just put this cover over it temporarily. You can do this with, oh sure, this kind of full, so be careful. Some people do this with those big protein powder containers. I've stolen his a couple times and done that. You can use anything that is food safe and will hold water, okay? Big storage tubs from Home Depot, the black and yellow ones are similar. The little shoebox things from Dollar Tree, as long as they have numbers on the bottom, and I didn't make a slide for that, but you can Google food safe plastic numbers. And as long as that number is on the bottom of whatever plastic container you're trying to use, it is safe for your food, okay? So all you would do then is figure out how to put your plants in there. I have videos on my YouTube where you drill a hole in the top so that that net cup will fit in, or if you're moving plants from an Aerogarden, which I do often, you use a 1-inch drill bit to drill a hole in there, and you can stick that Aerogarden pot right in there. DWC one-ups Kratky by adding an air stone that circulates oxygen in the water to aerate the roots, okay? Kratky is passive. There's no pump needed. There's no electricity other than the grow light that you're using. And if you're doing it outside, you don't even need the grow light. But DWC, you would need the electricity for your pump, and the pumps are really cheap on Amazon, like $12 or so. And I've done both. And as mentioned, Aeroponics is what most of the systems you buy are. If you've never seen an Aerogarden, I brought one in just to show what they look like. This is an Aerogarden Harvest Elite 360, brand new out of the box. I opened it last night. This one has 6 pods, and when you buy an Aerogarden, it's gonna come with a pod kit. If you buy directly from their website, you get to choose what you want. If you buy from Walmart, Amazon, or somewhere like that, it usually always comes with herbs, which is useful. This one has thyme, curly parsley, dill, Genovese basil, mint, and Thai basil, okay? So you plant all of those in there. They grow within a few days. They can live their whole life in the Aerogarden. But what a lot of us do, like what I do sometimes too, is use my Aerogardens to start seeds for my outside garden, because they get off to a nice fast start. You can start a lot of seeds in a small space. That actually comes with some of them. I bought it for others. Comes with what they call a seed starting deck. So you take this one off and you replace it with one that has 23 holes in it. So I can start 23 plants in that small space for my outside garden. So here's just a few pictures of some things I have grown inside. The first picture is fairy tale eggplant. The second picture is micro dwarf tomatoes. That's actually the Aerogarden variety called heirloom cherry. The picture under that, you see some strawberries that were growing in my Lettuce Grow farm stand, which is the tall unit that I talked about. The next picture is a Lettuce Grow Nook. That's a smaller version. And that one's full of leafy greens, and I see my fennel sticking up in the back. And then the last picture is Cajun bell peppers. Those are quite spicy and delicious. They're very good. So, how do you know what system you want? I always recommend people start small, unless you just know you're gonna love it and you've got money to burn. So a little system like that is a great one. Or this one over here, this is a Let Pot. They're a newer brand that have been around for a couple of years. Popularity is growing. I have, I think, 5 systems from them now. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll be giving this away. So if you want advice on what system to get, by all means ask me. Be careful if you go to Amazon, because there's a whole lot of systems out there from Chinese companies. Read the reviews. Always read the reviews. I do have a Facebook group, as mentioned, and I do reviews in there, and I have a couple of lists of systems to watch out for, like those you should stay away from. And actually, sorry about that, I forgot to change the link at the bottom to white, but it says visit LittleTechGirl.com/workshop. On that page, I listed a few things that I'm talking about today. So if you think you've missed something in your notes, you can go there. I'll also load the presentation on there after, and I'm recording this, so I'll put the video there as well by tomorrow or Monday. This, cucumbers growing in an Aerogarden Bounty Elite. These are called quick snap cucumbers. It's a small variety, and they are what is called parthenocarpic. Does anybody know what that is? Terrence, do you know?
I don't remember.
That means self-pollinating. When we grow things like cucumbers and squash outside, we rely on bees or other pollinators to come by, take pollen out of that male flower, and go insert it in that female flower. Yes, flower sex. And that's what makes the fruit, okay? Inside, no one has time for that. We would have to be stalking that plant a couple times a day, waiting for the male flower to open, waiting for the female flower to open, etc. So over time, they've developed these parthenocarpic varieties of cucumbers and squash that we don't have to worry about doing that. So the only thing I did to these cucumbers was put a fan on them just to simulate some airflow. Question?
Would that be considered genetic engineering?
No.
Okay.
Not exactly. Now you mean GMO? No, that we just talked about that last night. But no, so it's basically a hybrid. So it's a hybrid variety, just so we don't have to worry about manually pollinating, and it works out very well. Can everybody please put their phones on silent for me? Thank you. Okay, so getting started fast. Join my group if you are into the Facebook thing. It's a very nice group. I don't allow any BS in there at all. Watch some videos. YouTube is a wealth of gardening information, not only for hydroponics, but outdoor gardening as well. When I first started gardening, that's what I would do. I was just on the couch, watching video after video after video. And when I'm doing stuff in the kitchen, canning or anything, I always have that on in the background so I can listen. And actually, some of my favorite YouTubers I got to meet this past weekend. I'll get to talking about GreenStalk in a little while, but they had their first ever affiliate weekend, and I met I was fangirling out like, oh my God, it's Cassandra from Becoming a Farm Girl, and Gary from the Rustic Garden, Scott from Gardener Scott, Becky from Acre Homestead. There was a lot of big name gardening YouTubers there that are just a wealth of information, and that's just a few. But if you just go on YouTube and you search for your zone, like zones, we're here in this area, we are from 5B to 6A. So you can search Chicago gardening, you can search zone 6A gardening, or you can look specifically for what you're looking for, how to plant sweet potatoes, and you will find what you're looking for. Great videos out there. So as mentioned, buying an all-in-one system is a great way to get your feet wet and see if you even like it, because that'll fit just on your kitchen counter or somewhere else. The grow light is built in, so you don't have to buy one. The pump is there, so you don't have to buy one. And once you feel like you have a knack for that, then you can always get a bigger system or get a couple more small ones depending on space. If you have space for house plants, you can be growing food. Then you want to plant some seeds, okay? As mentioned, if you buy an Aerogarden brand, it comes with some seeds. Most other brands don't, but that gives you the ability to pick something that you want to grow. The only thing you have to consider is size. So I have advice on that too. For example, in this unit, if I was going to grow a tomato plant, don't just go get your tomato seeds for your outside garden. Those plants get 10 feet tall or more. Obviously, that's not going to fit in here when the light only goes this high, okay? So you want to grow micro dwarf tomatoes. Those are smaller varieties that are made to be no more than like 12 inches tall. Most of them are cherry tomatoes, and that's what you saw in my picture. And they taste great, and they grow, and they will live for a long, long time. I had some live well over 2 years before I finally got sick of them and said, okay, I'm going to try something new. So are aquaponics hard? This is really up to you. You start small like this. This is a simple system. It comes with the nutrients. It comes with everything you need. It doesn't have to be hard. If you decide to build your own system, then of course that's going into DIY, and you have to buy separate nutrients. You need to get the drill bit and all that stuff to make it fit. So you decide if you want to dabble, how much fun you want to have with it, if you want to be the nerdy type that wants to know everything about it, like there's something called EC and ppm, which I'm not going to get into today, but people who grow marijuana, they check those things all the time because they need to have the nutrients just right. When I'm growing this stuff, I don't do all of that. The only time I check that stuff is if a plant looks really unhappy and I'm trying to figure out why. So yeah, you could do a simple little Kratky jar that I don't know where it is now. Oh. Okay. So you could do something this simple, stick it under a grow light and be set to go. You could do a bigger one, like some people use 27-gallon tubs, and then you just buy the grow light, or you know, it's up to you. A lot of times, depending on where it's going in your home, might dictate that as well. Like the systems that I have in my family room, I want to make sure they're pretty, so if we have company, they look like conversation pieces. If I'm experimenting with Kratky tubs or something like that, that stuff goes in the basement, because then only I'm looking at it for the most part.
Excuse me, what makes a grow light? How is it different than just regular light?
That is a great question. So these lights here, these might actually be okay, but you don't want to use like the old fluorescent lights. Not that they won't grow plants, but they use a lot of energy. So grow lights these days are LED based, and they're going to be full spectrum, which means your plants are going to get all the blue, red, yellow, whites, and all of that they need for not only making greenery, but if you're growing tomatoes, you want them to get the light that they need to actually form the flowers and the tomatoes as well. Okay? There's a full article on my blog about grow lights. This one here in this picture, this is a root farm grow light. It's actually made by the same companies that make the Aerogardens. And these are 45 watt, which is good. This is only 20 watt, but it still grows things just fine. The difference is going to be in the amount of time that your plants need under the light. If it's lower wattage like this, that's gonna stay on like 16 hours a day, where this one, they might only need like 12 hours a day. And this is a mix of the Kratky tubs I was talking about and DWC. I think the yellow ones have the pumps in them. The white was just no pump whatsoever. And you can see how beautiful those greens grew, just like that, with cheap things. Now these little tubs came from Amazon, but you can get similar little black ones like that from IKEA. They used to be like $4 each. Prices have probably gone up, but I have some of those as well. And then I use my drill bit to just drill a hole in there for 2-inch net cups. And that's what I put in there to hold these plants. Okay, any more questions about that? Yes?
How does it, I'm guessing regular sunlight indoors wouldn't work. Like, I live in a really, really sunny place that gets pretty warm in the, peak hours of the day, and like east, west light.
That is another great question. So here in our area in winter, no, because we don't have enough daylight hours. You want at least 12, 14, 16 hours of direct sunlight per day. If you are somewhere where you get south-facing sun all day, then yes, it might work. But what you will notice, you'll notice right away if you have a plant that is not getting enough sun. I'll just use this. So let's say this light here is my grow light, but the plant is way over here. You'll see the plant doing this, reaching for the light, okay? It's much better to have direct overhead light so that it grows up. And that's another thing you see a lot in Facebook groups. People will start seedlings for outside, and then they'll say, why do my seedlings look like this? Because they didn't put them under a grow light. They put a bunch of seeds in the thing and they set it on the kitchen table and it has no light. So then the plants get what is called leggy. They just are tall and skinny and not strong at all, okay? Having a direct overhead grow light helps that, as well as when you're growing something like peppers, tomatoes, or something that's going outside, you put a light breeze of a fan on them to simulate the wind. That helps strengthen them for outside. Inside, it helps with airflow, so the plants, they grow and they get strong, and that also helps crisp up your lettuce. And lettuce likes it cool, so if you have a very warm home, you want to definitely keep a fan on your lettuce, otherwise it'll bolt, B-O-L-T, early, which means go to seed. You'll see that with leafy greens. When it starts shooting a stalk up the middle, and then you see a little flower forming. That's that plant getting ready to form seeds. Now, if you want to experiment with that, you can wait it out, which takes forever, but you can wait for it to go completely to seed and actually collect those seeds and plant them later. But when we're growing things that we want to eat, we don't want that to happen too fast. We want to be able to eat our lettuce. So that's why making sure the room is not too warm for lettuce and putting the fan on them helps. All right, that was pretty fast on indoor gardening, but it is so much information I didn't want to overwhelm you. And if you want to ask me questions or specific questions about that, I'm open to it, or we can wait till later. Yes?
I just have a question. What is the name of your Facebook group?
Aerogarden, Kratky, Kratky, and Gardening Phonetics. And there is a link on one of the later slides, but if you just search that, you'll find me. Or if you just go to my direct Facebook page, I believe there is a link in the left sidebar. And that's Kris, Kris McDonald. Yes?
Do the growth lights, especially the one that's on the, I guess the Aerogarden right there, do they come with timers?
Yes. Hold on. My own phone is not on silent. So these have built-in timers. When you first set this up, you're gonna go through the menu here, you're gonna start a new garden, you're gonna pick herb garden, and based on that, it's gonna determine how many hours per day the lights stay on. And it's just so simple. Let me show you real quick. It says open with scissors, right?
You need help?
I got it. So these little pods, this is the deal pod. All you do is put that in there. They give you everything you need. And if you're doing your own seeds, you can get empty pods from Aerogarden or from Amazon to put your seeds in, and then you put them in here. So you do this, you add the water, you turn it on, you set your time, and you just let it go. And then it's gonna remind you when it's time to add food. It's gonna remind you when it needs more water. Now, not all systems do that. Some of those cheaper ones on Amazon don't have those features. So you have to keep checking them all the time to see if it needs water. And this is the nutrients. This one comes with the nutrients that you need. And they also give you these little domes that help with humidity. You put that on top of each one. And once you see your little sprouts come up, you just take the dome off and you let it grow the rest of the way. Any more questions about that? Yes?
Actually, my question is, what's the difference between this and the lead pot?
Two different companies. So this is an Aerogarden, which is the OG of indoor gardening. As mentioned, LittleTechGirl is a newer company. This is the LittleTechGirl LPHSE, or they call it the LittleTechGirl Senior. This one has 12 planting spots, a 24-watt light, and it connects to an app, okay? So it has Wi-Fi. So even though it doesn't have a screen, I can open the app on my phone for the ones that I have at home and see all of the stuff that I would usually see here. And it works very well. I have one at home that I just finished growing bush beans in, so I need to clean it out. This one, this particular model does not work with an app, but Aerogarden does have the Bounty Elite, and the Farms all work with apps. So if that's your thing, that's great. And it's nice because if you're the type that's not, you know, too physical or whatever, you can check on things from your phone and then only get up and go add water or whatever if you really have to.
Kris, the arrow, is that electric? Do I plug it into the wall?
Yes, absolutely.
I just didn't see the wire. Okay.
Yeah, oh, it's here. I didn't plug it in, but yep. So anything with the grow light and the pump, you're gonna need the electricity for. Any more? Yes?
What are the price points for these kinds?
Oh, that's a great question too. So actually, on a later slide, I've got a special deal for you guys for these for this weekend. I need to look it up and see the price. I'll do that in a little bit. The normal price is around $90 for this one, which is a little bit high sometimes, but they do go on sale. Sales on all of these things are usually best during Black Friday, like everything else. So that's when a lot of people buy more systems. Aerogarden's prices have gone up and down over the years, and they are technically just reopening. So last October, they announced they were going out of business. Everybody was like, no! On Christmas Eve, they said, okay, fine, we're coming back. but the website doesn't have much on it yet. There's only a few units, but Amazon has had some great deals on these. $65 is about the lowest I've seen on this model, which is totally worth it. Some of the bigger ones go as high as 400 and something, like that's called the Aerogarden Farm, and those are huge. I don't think I put that picture. It was in one of those first pictures. Hold on, let me go back quick. Okay, back down here. These are Aerogarden farms. These big units along the wall. They're not planted, but these have 12 pods on each side. The light goes up to 36 inches. So that allows you to grow much bigger plants than you can in something like that. And then since I brought this up again, this is the garden, Gardyn. And because of my blog and whatever, all of this stuff you see here, I probably have a discount code for or a link. So please ask me. And I don't think I put my email address on the slide, but it's LittleTechGirl@gmail.com if you forget to ask me anything and want to reach out. So this is Garden, Gardyn. This is Tower Garden, regular garden word. This is Lettuce Grow Farm Stand. This is a Click and Grow 27, which would be my least favorite. Behind that, hiding there, is an I harvest, just the letter I, word harvest. And that's all we can really see in this picture. Then over here, this is another garden. This is the newest garden model called the Studio. So this one is smaller. It grows 16 plants. These grow 30 plants each. So if you're looking to get into a vertical system, these are a great buy, and I do have a code. Just got a new code. They just came out with a new sale. But 16, and it takes up less than, I think it's 1.5 feet wide. So you can tuck that into a corner. The grow light is built in, and you have 16 plants growing right there. These are a little over 2 feet wide with 30 plants growing, and those each have 2 grow lights. And then over here, we have the Lettuce Grow Nook, which is the smaller version of its big brother here. This one, the nice thing about these is they are modular. So when you buy one, you can opt to buy only that tall, and then you can add on later. This one has been up to 36 plants growing. This one, it just comes as it is, 20 plants in that one. But for each one, you use the same little net cups, the same pods and all of that, so they are interchangeable. Sometimes depending what I'm doing, I'll take plants out of here, I'll put them over there, I'll clean one out, and move plants to other systems. And this big boy in the middle is the Rise Garden, which is beautiful. The only thing I don't like about this one is the height limits. This is an old picture from December, that's why the Christmas hat is there. But my tomatoes are so big now that they're like hanging over the side and don't have enough room to go up anymore. So this one is best for like shorter plants and leafy greens. If I recall, I did measure this. The bottom is 17 inch, and then those 2 levels are only 10 inches high. What else?
What's the temperature in your basement?
It's the same as the rest of the house, about 70, 72 degrees.
Want to comment on the humidity?
We just got a new dehumidifier down there, because when you're running, I don't have them all on now, but when you're running a bunch of hydroponics or something with water flowing, that is going to put more humidity in the air. And so we want to make sure that that's not a problem in the basement. So we have 2 nice size humidifiers that I got from Amazon. Dehumidifiers. And you might want to consider that. In the back of my basement is where I keep all my canning as well, so I want to make sure that's kept dry. Yes?
You might have covered this already, and it's a crazy question looking at the dates, but this is year round. You can do this, correct?
You can do this year round. I don't usually, because I have an outdoor garden and there's no way I'm taking care of indoor and outdoor at the same time. So I mostly do my indoor gardening in the winter. And then by the time May rolls around, I shut it all down and I go outside. So in the back of my basement that you can't see is a different area that I temporarily set up for my outdoor seed starting. And what I will probably do, and what I do every year, is if I still have plants in here that look nice, I kick them out. I take them outside. So yeah, top picture, that's an old one, but you see another one of those, the Aerogarden Harvest Elite. Back then it was all Aerogardens, that's all I had, with the exception of the DWC tub there in the middle. So there's an Aerogarden down the Elite, Harvest, Elite Slim, a couple of regular Harvest. So all of the Harvest models, the Elite models, are the same except for shape. The round one is called the 360. The regular rectangular one is just called the Harvest. And then you've got that one up there in the middle, which is long and skinny. That's called the Slim. Over here, these are older. These are sprouts on the end, which is only 3 pods each. And then in the middle is an old Harvest Elite, which, as you can see, they changed it and made it look more modern. So that covers all of those. Any more questions about indoor?
Yeah, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
You know, dill and basil tend to grow very, very tall, and that's very small. So is it a special variety that you just gotta keep trimming all the time?
They do have shorter varieties. I'm not sure what Aerogarden puts in their pod, but I know I have some seeds that are for shorter. I'm trying to think of what it's called. I can't think of it, but I'll try to remember. But yes, otherwise you just harvest them before they get too tall. And basil, what the nice thing about basil is you can just keep pruning it or keep cutting it like above those, like say these are 2 leaves, you cut it right there and it'll cause it to bush out instead of taller.
And then, do you get most of your seeds, you order that online, or you get that from big box stores? What's your primary?
Mostly online, because I like to try new things. And that's the thing. Before you start gardening, you might think there's only 3 types of tomatoes and 2 types of peppers going to the grocery store, right? I know somebody who I love dearly that said they only like Roma tomatoes. But there are literally hundreds and hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. Yellow, orange, purple, different shapes, and they're all delicious, you know? So I love trying new ones. I have probably, and I have a ridiculous number of seeds, but I know I'm gonna use them or give them away or give the plants away or something. And seeds are so cheap, it's almost, you know, not worth not buying them when they're on sale. Big box stores tend to stick to like Bird Bee, I can't even remember the other brands, but they don't have as big a variety. So if you're looking for variety, then yes. And like I mentioned, the microdwarf is what you would need for the Aerogarden. You're gonna have to get those online because they don't generally have those in the store at all.
And is there a particular website you recommend?
There's a lot of them. I have a whole list, but just to name a few, Baker Creek is great because their seeds are a little pricier than others, but they tend to overpack them. And then you always get free seeds with your order, and you always get free shipping. That's rareseeds.com. M.I. Gardner, he's another great YouTuber, and he also has a seed shop up in Michigan. They have great seeds. They're only $2 a pack now, which they have doubled in price from $1 a pack. But I use their seeds a lot. God, there are so many. There's also some great Etsy sellers that have the microdwarf and all of that. If you go to my site, LittleTechGirl.com, and just search seeds, there should be a post called my favorite seed sites that comes up. And I try to update that when I remember. Anything else?
Have you seen the seed bag that's on TikTok? The big bag of seeds is about 500 seeds, and they're all kosher, no vaccine.
You mean like one of those survival kits or something like that?
It's not a survival kit. It's just all of the seeds that have not been changed in any way, but they're supposed, many of them will automatically regrow, you know.
Heirloom seeds?
Yeah, they're all heirloom seeds.
Okay.
But it's a mixture, I forget.
Oh, okay.
It's like 500, but it's a bag.
But they're just all mixed together, or they're?
No, they have
I was supposed to You know, that just reminded me, my neighbors have 2 garden beds that they put in their yard, and they never put anything in them. I keep saying, I'm going to put some seeds in them. And they'll be like, I'm going to sneak over there and water it. Okay, any more questions about the indoor portion? Yes?
When you said the fan, is it just a regular fan when you were talking about the cucumbers?
Yeah, I have a few. I have a cheap $10 oscillating fan like we've seen since we were kids that I just sit in the middle of the room and I let that turn on. I just got a fancier one by, here we go with the brain freeze again. It'll come to me. If those fancy fans they put on sale at Costco every now and then.
Dyson?
Huh?
Dyson?
No.
Buzu?
That's the one. Yes, thank you. I got a Wuzu stand pedestal fan that not only goes like this, but it also goes like this. And that's really nice because it covers like more of the room. I have clip-on fans that I use like on the Aerogarden farms. It just clips onto the side and blows on the tomatoes or whatever. So I have a few. Depending on what you are working with or where you need, as long as it can blow a gentle breeze, then that works. I just saw a funny post on Facebook last night when somebody posted their seedlings and they were like, is this fan breeze good enough or should I make it stronger? And the plants were going like this. And so somebody was like, you're supposed to give them a gentle breeze, not a hurricane. Okay, anything else? If you come up with more questions later, we can always come back because a lot of the stuff about indoor is gonna intermingle with this as well. So this is an old picture of my outdoor garden. That thing on the right, don't buy that. That's the dollar store planter that they sell every year. They are really shallow. They dry out fast. I had strawberries in there, but they are really only good for maybe some lettuce, maybe some herbs, but anything else, just don't bother because they're just so small. Okay. So, outdoor gardening can be a bit more challenging than indoor, but very rewarding. So, like you saw here with the Aerogarden, they give you everything you need. You just plop the pods in and you watch. Outside, you need to know what you're doing, at least a little bit, because you want to know about your soil, you want to know about your fertilizer, you need to worry about pests, you might have squirrels or something that like to visit your yard, so there's a lot more to pay attention to. And here in this area, we have hard clay soil. It's terrible, okay? You try to dig in that soil, it's like digging in mud. So I said, oh no. So I don't garden in ground at all. I have all raised beds or planters or something like that. And so that means you have to buy a lot of soil to get started. So that's your initial investment. And I'm gonna say it now, I think it's on a later slide, but make a note on your calendar or somewhere. Every August, end of August, beginning of September, you want to go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, Walmart, all the stores that sell soil. They're going to start putting them on clearance for $1 to $3 a bag, okay? Sometimes $5 a bag. There's a big stack of soil in my garage waiting for spring because I bought it in the middle of winter. And I do that every year because it's like a third of what it's going to cost you during garden season. So if you can do that, don't forget, because every year you're going to need more soil as a gardener, no matter what you think. If you have raised beds, they're going to settle. So every spring you're going to have to top off that soil. If you have pots, you're going to want to amend or maybe put a little more soil in there as well, okay? And as mentioned already, watch some videos. Oh, let me go back. Gardening books.
Question.
Yes.
About the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to, so last year my garden didn't do well. The year before it was really nice. This is outside. I added new dirt. Do you need to
Amend it.
say that?
Amend it. You want to add in more nutrients. You want to add, I use mushroom compost,
Okay.
worm castings, bone meal, blood meal, and organic granular fertilizer every year.
Remember all of that?
All of that.
I think I did put that on the slide, but if not, just email me or something.
Okay.
But yeah, every year you want to refresh that dirt. You don't ever throw the dirt out. You don't ever throw the soil away. It's good. But if it has settled, you add more and you add in those amendments to give it new life, so to speak, okay? I mix it in. So if it's a raised bed, you're going to mix it into those first few inches where the roots are going to be. And then as you water it, that's going to go down into the soil a bit more. So gardening books. There's only one book that I'm going to recommend, which is the Square Foot Gardening book, okay? There's a lot of books out there, but in my opinion, there's no reason to pay for books when there's a wealth of free information on the internet and on YouTube and in Facebook groups, etc. Okay, but if you are the reading a book type, then by all means, get a great book. There's other ones out there that I have not personally read, but like I said about the other stuff, just jump on Amazon, read some reviews, and decide which book people are actually finding helpful. The Square Foot Gardening book is great because not only does it follow that method, which is basically the method of taking a 4x4 bed, splitting it in 12 parts, I think it's 12, yeah, or 16, and telling you how many things you can plant in that space. So even if you want to start with a really small garden, it tells you how much food you can fit there. He also tells you how to mix your soil. There's info on companion planting, pest control, and all of that is in that one book. And read your seed packs. When you buy seed packs, they're gonna tell you like how deep to plant the seed, how far apart they should be spaced, which is not that important depending on what you're doing. Like I mentioned the MI Gardener a little while ago. He's a big fan of high impact gardening and planting, and so am I, which means you get more into a space, and the plants will still grow. Watch some videos, we already talked about that. Join some groups, we already talked about that. And there's the name of the group again for anybody that missed the spelling. Other groups on Facebook are a bit more chaotic and bigger, but there are groups for Chicago gardening, Zone 6A gardening, Zone 6B, a type of hydroponic system, like I'm in a lettuce grow group, I'm in a garden group, and all of that. So no matter what you are looking to learn about, they are there. And some of them are actually run by the companies. Like the garden group that I'm in is actually run by the company. So they monitor that group, and if someone has a customer service issue, they jump on it. But not all of them are. Some of them are just made by people like me. Okay, so this is the most important part other than prepping your soil. Okay, when to start your seeds. Right now, for us, it's now. Here in this area, okay? Start your seeds right now. That would be for your tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, and any spring crops that you want to grow, like lettuce, collards, leafy greens, and stuff like that, that can be planted technically before our last frost date. The tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant and summer stuff is not going to be planted till approximately May 15th or so. A lot of people say do it on Mother's Day, so it's around that time, okay? The best way to figure this out is just to go to almanac.com. They have a tab that says gardening, then you're gonna go to gardening calendar. You put in your zip code, they're gonna give you not only your last frost date, but on the right, there's just a small screenshot, but you get a long list of crops. And it tells you exactly when to start your seeds indoors, when to plant them out, when to start them outside. Because some stuff can be direct sowed. But when you start seeds inside, you get a head start and they come out much stronger. Like here, we would never do well with tomatoes if we waited until mid-May and then put a seed outside, okay? You want to start that now so you have a nice sized plant to put out so you actually get tomatoes before it gets cold outside. Any questions about that? Okay. Benefits of outdoor gardening. Fresh air, obviously. Room for more produce. It's a lot bigger than a little Aerogarden, depending on your space. And it doesn't even matter if you have a lot of space or not. If you have a deck, a patio, a balcony, a little piece of dirt, a community garden, a backyard, or whatever, you can grow something outside. Stress relief and enjoyment until the late summer burnout hits. And that's because, let me tell you, by the end of August, I don't want nothing to do with that garden. That's when I start letting all the flowers die and just pay attention to the important vegetables. Because by then I'm in preserving mode and I'm tired and my tan burns and you know, all of that. And you get exercise, even without trying to. If you're going out there and you're doing the bending and you're hauling soil and you're harvesting and all of that, you're getting a little bit of exercise. Connecting with nature, I said within reason. Because let me tell you. We didn't talk about this yet, but this is my little GreenStalk that I brought with me to show off. So last summer, we were going to Cancun, right? I go over there and I go to water my GreenStalk, and I'm like, why is the water not going? Did anybody see this on Facebook?
I think I did.
I said, why is the water not going through there? And these are usually much taller, and I'm short, so I go like this. I see a snake's head sticking up through the hole. What? He wasn't home. I come. You need to come home. He couldn't get the snake out, so the snake lived in there while we were in Cancun. Yeah. So I come back, and I'm like, and then he comes with the gloves, and he's getting the snake. Snake slithers away, and who knows where he went. It was just a garden snake, but still. Right. And then there's mice. I don't have a big problem with pests in the yard. Like, I always say we have well-behaved squirrels. They know not to bother my stuff. And here's a tip. If you do have squirrels in your area, a lot of people like to be mean to squirrels. Squirrels are very smart, and they can be trained. Okay? This past fall, we were bored, and we trained the squirrels to come up to the door and get peanuts out of our hand. But if you feed them an area away from your garden, somewhere where you don't mind them being, they will stay over there, and they won't have a reason to come in your garden and bother your stuff. Give them peanuts, or even if you don't want to feed the squirrels, feed the birds. You're still feeding the squirrels, because the squirrels will go and steal the bird's seed. Okay? Give them water and food, and they will leave your garden alone. And if you go outside and you see one doing something they're not supposed to be doing, you say, hey, stop that, and they will listen. I swear, they do. Every spring we seem to have rabbits born in our yard. They love having their babies there. We have been rabbit grandparents for, I think, the past 3 years. The first year they were born in my raised bed, and they were so cute, and it wasn't time to plant yet, so I let them stay. And then one day, this is how you know we just old sappy people. It was raining really hard. I'm like, oh my God, the rabbit babies are gonna drown. He's like, no, we can't allow that. So he goes and gets the umbrella. And we go outside and we put the umbrella over the babies. And we make sure that they're safe. And do you know what those rabbits did? They stayed. They lived in the yard. They would sit by and they would watch me work in the garden. They would come and hang out on the patio. I think the next year one of them came back and had her babies there. And I have a video on my Instagram or somewhere where I'm holding a Swiss chard leaf and the rabbit comes and she takes it out of my hand. Because they're also sweetie pies. Animals, they don't try to be bad, you know? But you better believe that I fixed the hole in the gate so they can no longer get in the main garden. And rabbits don't jump very high either. I think they can only jump like 2 feet high. So if you have high raised beds or if you raise your pots up or whatever, they won't be able to get in them. If you have anything at ground level, of course, that's at risk of being eaten by a rabbit or whatever. As for the mice, they must die. Okay, you get a constant sense of accomplishment. When you go outside and you say, oh my God, it's my first tomato, or you know, it's finally turning red, or here's a pepper or whatever, that feeling never goes away no matter how long you've been gardening. Yes?
Okay, with the animals, I have an issue with raccoons. Just showed her the tape from outside about yelling. Mostly, it's a final deterrent for them, but I have gotten like the solar sound flashing. I put spikes on top of the fence.
I don't have any advice for you on raccoons.
Oh.
When we, okay. Another story time. When we taught the squirrels to come up to the door to get the peanuts, apparently they went and told their friends. So I go in the kitchen one day, and I have the patio door, the blinds are open, and here's a raccoon. And wait, then he goes to the other side of the door. He was trying his best to figure out, how do I get into the house where the peanuts are? And he just sat there and looked at me, and he was so cute. I should bring his face up, but I did. I took pictures and video. But he was just sitting there like, and he was a small smaller one, so he didn't scare me. And even when we went outside to try to scare him away, he was like, now, up until then, he wasn't an issue because there's nothing growing. I didn't care. But we have other raccoons that hang out under the bird feeders. Again, as long as there's food over there, they will mostly stay over there. I did find evidence of a couple of them like being in the garden. But for the most part, I've been very lucky. I haven't had anything destroy a lot in my garden. 2 years ago, I did have a family of mice living in one of my GreenStalks, and they kept chewing up the peppers. I'm like, at least eat the whole pepper. Right. Don't go around taking a bite out of all of them. And I held the water in there, and I flooded it until they all ran out finally. And so yeah, there are simple ways to deal with the pests, and there's a slide on that in a minute. The ability to preserve your harvest for later. This is one of the main reasons to garden, especially now with the world being crazy. And this is why so many people started gardening during COVID. A lot of people didn't want to go to the grocery store. We didn't, a lot of things were slow. There's all these produce recalls and everything. And so you want to have not only your own fresh food for now, but you want to preserve it for later, okay? And you can do that with most things that you are able to grow. So again, just like inside, it's up to you whether you want to start big or small. You can garden in pots if you only have a small space. Raised planters, raised beds, buckets, green stalks, in ground if you are good enough to have good soil, or you are in the good enough shape that you want to fight with that soil, or even hydroponics. A couple of the systems I showed you, like the lettuce grow farm stand and the tower garden, you can actually use outside as long as you remove the lights. Okay, you'll have somewhere to plug in your pump, but they'll run on sunlight, and you don't need those lights out there. And that's great if you have like a patio and you don't want to deal with dirt. You don't want to, have to go far into your yard. You can have those 30 plants or whatever growing right there on your patio. So now we're going to talk more about the GreenStalk. Why do I love the GreenStalk so much? Because no matter where you are, yes.
I wanted to know what constitutes good soil. Would it be if vegetables or flowers that were planted like 40 years ago still come back? Is that what?
No, they have just gotten used to the crappy soil. What constitutes good soil is you want it to be nice and fluffy.
When you till it.
You want it to not be full of wood, rocks, things like that, and you want it to have good nutrients. Now, lots of people who decide they're going to farm in our area, they will till that whole area, they will mix in compost, and they will plant ground cover, which supposedly helps loosen it up and something. But who has time for that, in our backyard, unless you really, really want to. If you do a container, you can just dump in a bag of soil. If you do a raised bed, you can do what's called I'm probably gonna say this wrong, the hugelkultur method. But that's where you have your 2 feet tall or 1 foot tall raised bed. You put on the bottom cardboard, you collect twigs, branches from around the neighborhood, you throw some leaves in there. In other words, a bunch of organic matter that will eventually break down. And then you only have to worry about buying this much soil instead of this much soil. And you can get bulk soil delivered from local nurseries and stuff. But we did that one, no, I haven't done this soil, but we did mulch once from Chip Drop. And that's another tip. If you decide you need mulch for your yard, garden, or whatever, chipdrop.com, you can go there and they will dump a truckload on you for free.
Oh.
But it was so much. Not only did I have enough for the garden, I had to give some away. I put it on Facebook in the free group and said, please come get it. But it worked out great. And I would do it again, except my mind is going back to how we had to haul it in the wheelbarrow with the shovels and
Excuse me, real quick, I just want to say for people with rodents, peppermint.
Peppermint?
They don't like peppermint, they don't like.
Oh, rodents.
So if you plant even some of the squirrels and all that, they won't bother. So it smells good, but that deters raccoons as well. So
that's a great tip. So yeah, now I need to put mint everywhere.
Why is it important to have that depth? Like you're saying, if you don't have the soil.
The roots.
Yeah, but earlier you were saying like the roots are in the more shallow area.
When they first get started.
Okay.
When you have a small plant, obviously the plant doesn't have many roots. Like this one, the roots are still right up in here because of them being wrapped up in the other system. But once this plant starts to grow, the roots are going to become longer and longer, and they're going to reach down into the soil looking for nutrients. So you want to make sure the soil is there, otherwise when they hit a wall, it's going to stop growing. And that's what determines the size of a lot of plants too. Like if I put a pepper plant in that Aerogarden, it's not going to get as big as it would if I put it in a larger system, because once the roots run out of space, the plant is going to stop growing. So if you want big plants outside, they need space and good soil. Let's see. Oh, we were talking about the GreenStalk. Now, I'm sorry, I did not put this in a great spot for everyone to see it. Let me.
You want to lift it up?
Yes. Thank you. So I brought like one part of several of my new GreenStalk that I haven't set up yet, just so you can see what this is about. When you buy one of these, it comes either as what's called an original, which is going to have 5 tiers, or a leaf, which is going to have 7. And you'll notice the differences here. This is an original, this is an original. These are 10 inches deep. This is a leaf tier, which is only 7 inches deep. This is just the watering tray. So the great thing about these, as you see, is taking up only 2 feet of space. But I can plant, if you buy an original, 30 plants in that 2 feet of space. If you buy a leaf, 42 smaller plants in that 2 feet of space, okay? And this is the spinner base that I recommend for them. And guess what? Hang around with me to the end. I'm giving one away. These are some. This is the newest color. This is called lilac. This is razzleberry. This is peppercorn. They rotate through colors. They have like 4 colors that they stick with all the time, like evergreen, which is that one there. Glacial blue was another limited color. But, so you watch the sales, you get the colors you like, or you could choose to stick with all one color, like just the green, or something like that, okay? And what they have done for you guys for this weekend, because they love me, I didn't get to that yet. Oh, well, let's see here. Here's my pink one, that's called Cherry Blossom Pink. In the background, you see 2 blueberries. If you know, don't answer. Who wants to guess how many GreenStalks I have now?
Oh, wow.
About 10.
17.
Who said 17? Arlene knows. Yes.
So I'm like a fangirl because I have 3 at home.
Oh.
They're on my little like 5x8 balcony. And so
Perfect.
I'm so excited. The tall ones, you all will love them.
It looks just like that.
Space she has. I just have like a little balcony, you know, that you have outside your house. I put one in one corner, one in the middle, one in the other corner.
Yep.
They are wonderful.
Yep, and that's what it says. Works on patio, deck, garden, no matter, as long as you have 2 feet of space, or let's say maybe 3 feet of space, because the plants need room, you know, and then you're gonna have room to use that. And if you have your base, as long as you can turn it around for harvesting or to get that even sun on the other side, you're good. So, sorry, I've jumped ahead of myself. So, yeah, you can grow tomatoes, peppers, greens, potatoes, strawberries, and more in these. So on that picture on the left there, I think that's shishito peppers. On the right, there's a mix of things. I see some Swiss chard at the top. And here, as I mentioned, is the pink one. I see beets, that petunia. Let's see what else.
What is that at the top? Well, it's not quite the top. Close, that tall one, all the way up.
That, I think that's beets.
Beets.
But yeah, but the beet
'cause
is just down in the pot.
the
You
stems
can't see.
yeah.
So I have grown many things, and yeah, she got it right. I have 17. Yes?
Watering with a system like this.
Okay, great question. Now here's what you do. 2 ways. This is the watering tray, okay? They have a line in here, but I never go by that. So what I do when I'm hand watering is I just get my garden hose, I hold it in the top, I wait for everything to saturate it, and when the water starts running out of this down here, I know the whole thing is saturated. Now, if you put in brand new seedlings, or you put in seed yourself, you want to lightly water each pocket just until those plants get established. And once they really start growing, then you go to your watering system. And they do have a watering system for this as well that you just hook over the side. You can hook it to a timer and it does it for you. I'm still working on getting all mine hooked into my irrigation because it really does make life easier. What I've done a couple times when we've gone on vacation, when I didn't have the irrigation, is I set the lawn sprayers up in the garden and just let them wet everything, which also worked out fine. So what else was I saying about that?
And Kris, is there soil in the center of that, or
Yeah.
is it in each
So I'll
pocket?
show you inside the pocket. So this is what you fill with soil.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's compare. And they are so easy. So they are very easy to put together. So here's the bottom that looks just like this one. Then you get the little gray watering disc. This distributes water. There's little holes in here. So when you water through the top, it runs down into here in each level, and a little bit of water sprinkles out of each one into that tier. So when you put it together, you just want to make sure that that hole is actually over the pocket, okay? Then you put the next one on. Now, your soil is in there already, okay? So some people put the soil in all of them and then stack them. That's a lot of work, and I'm not that strong. So I put the soil in this one, then I put this on, then I put the next one on empty, and then I put the soil in this one, and so on and so forth. And the little feet just lock in around here so that they don't fall, okay? And then, I lost my other water.
It's in front here.
Thank you. Then you put the next one on, again, making sure those holes are over the pocket. You put that one on, and then you put your top on, and that's it. And as you can see, this is a 3-tier. So I'm only 5'3", and these things are usually about 5 feet tall, so I leave it like that, and it's just about like this for me, sometimes. Maybe that's a little tall. But if you find that you like it better in 3, you can take them apart and make 3. They have extra parts like the watering disc and these on their site that you can buy to make it shorter. These things, you have the option of putting wheels on them, so you can roll it around your patio, or if you know a big storm or something is coming, you roll it up against the house.
Like that.
Yes, right there, there's the wheels. And a question that a lot of people ask is, how do these hold up in wind or tornado warnings? Is that what you're gonna ask me? Okay, I've had 2 of them fall over twice, okay? And that was because we had really big winds, similar to what we had the other day. But other than that, I've not had an issue. And I mean, you just pick it up and you put it back together. You know, what else do I want to say about this? I don't know. Questions? Yes.
On each tier, are you planting the same plant?
No, you can. Like I do a full pepper tower every year. I think there's a picture of that coming up. And you can mix it up. You can do a full one of strawberries. Yes, there are some strawberries left there. That comes from a full tower of strawberries. So, this is what I was saying earlier when I jumped the gun. Usually, this code.
My camera decided to glitch out at this time, but I was saying for this weekend, only during this workshop, you can save 25% instead of the usual $10 by using my code. That deal expires Monday. If you get the Inventors Bundle, it is a really great deal because it comes with the base and everything that you need. I have 17 of these, even though I have a bunch of raised beds because they're just so easy to stick anywhere there's 2 feet of space.
About that. If you have the space, raised beds are great. They're a pricey investment at first, but they're gonna outlast you if you get the right ones. I don't recommend wood because those do degrade and you're gonna have to replace parts or they're gonna break down and look bad. If you get metal raised beds from either any of the big companies or even from Amazon, they will last for a long, long time. Start with great soil, which we already talked about. Amend, and I'll say this again for what I use. Worm castings, mushroom compost, bone meal, blood meal, and organic granular fertilizer. There's a few brands that make that, so I didn't name them, but they're all pretty much the same, like Espoma, Garden Tone, Dr. Earth, and a few others. And if you are not big on organic, that's fine too. You can use whatever fertilizer you like because it's your garden, you do what you want. Water often and pull weeds. Now that's important. You have to water your garden, okay? If it's raining a lot, obviously you don't have to water your garden, but you want to go out there every day if you have time, and you want to at least look at your garden for a few reasons. You want to make sure the plants don't need water. You want to make sure nothing's out there eating up your garden. You want to make sure a raccoon can decide to come live in your garden and, you know, ravage everything. Pull weeds. Weeds take away nutrients from the plants that you want. So if you leave a bunch of weeds in your garden, your plants won't do as well. Protect and treat for pests. There's another slide on that. I'll get into a little bit more. Harvest often. When your plants are ready to harvest, harvest often. The more often you harvest, the more fruits and things they will make for you. Stare at it and enjoy it. Take lots of pictures, send them to me, post them on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and eat. That's an important part. A lot of people grow stuff and then they don't eat it. Eat it. Grow what you like. Yes.
You would have talked to me before about putting organic material in the bottle. Do you do it for that?
No.
For the
No.
flowers? Okay.
Not enough room.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Tomato. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
For those of us who are true novice, how do you determine what is a weed?
That is a great question. If you didn't plant it there, it's a weed.
You don't want it, it's weed.
Now, I will give a caveat to that. Once you've been gardening for a while, you may get what's called volunteer plants in your garden. There are a variety of ways that happens. An animal eats something and poops it out. You leave, say, a decaying pepper laying on the soil in your garden. You leave a decaying tomato laying on the soil in your garden. Or a plant goes to seed, the wind blows, and then seeds fall all over. These are good plants that grow where you did not plant them. But once you learn gardening and you look at it, you say, hey, I think that's a tomato plant. You leave it there, okay? But if you know that this is your brand new garden, you have planted nothing, you just put down new soil, and you planted your one little tomato plant, and you've got all these other little green things around it, those are weeds. Pull them. If you're not sure if it's a weed, take a picture of it, post it, and someone can tell you if it's good or not. Or you can even use just Google Lens on your phone, and it will try to identify the plant. Yes?
I have Plant Parent app, and it's called Plant Parent, and I take a picture of it, and it'll say it's a weed, and my husband makes me pull it out.
Yes, and I'm not one of those people that eats weeds like some people, so they all must go. Yes?
Right.
You know, I never start with seeds. I always buy plants, you know, that are already growing. Does it make a difference?
Yes, it makes a difference, and I'm gonna tell you why. Nurseries, they've gotten a little bit better, but they don't have as big a variety as you can get if you buy seeds. Also, they're gonna charge you $3 for that one pepper plant when you could have a whole pack of 25 seeds, and you could grow 25 pepper plants for that same price. I'm sorry, you were, yeah.
Just for clarification, this system is for transferring to, not growing seeds?
No, it can do both. I direct sow my bush beans in here, I direct sow radishes, I direct sow beets, you can direct sow lettuce. Anything that's not picky, like tomatoes and peppers, or that doesn't need a long time to get a head start, you can direct sow in one of these in a pot or whatever. Outside. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I tried seeding in the house one time, and it looked fabulous at one point, and then the next minute stuff had died. What do you recommend?
Well, that depends on what you were doing and what you used. All you want is some good seed starting mix or a good potting mix, a good grow light, and you want to water it, but don't over water them, okay? Maybe that's what it was. And then once the plants start to get too big for whatever container you started them in, you may need to pot them up, meaning move them to a bigger container until it's warm enough to put them outside. And then one of the most important parts, especially in our area, of actually kicking them out of the house is called hardening off. That's where you need to acclimate the plants to actually being outside. They've been inside, they've grown up like a baby inside the womb, and they've been pampered, okay? When that baby comes out, the baby's usually upset because it's all different and they don't know what's going on. So you want to not only acclimate them to being outside in the weather, the wind and all of that, the sun, you want to, get them used to it. Now, there are different ways to do that. I won't get into all that today, but just remember the term hardening off, and you can look up how to do that with your seedlings. I do it in a lazy manner, which is a shortened version of what some people do that takes a week or more, but it's what must be done. If you direct sow something outside, like I was talking about, then obviously you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's see. So more random pictures. I switched chart on the left and right. There's a teddy bear sunflower in the middle. So choosing the right plants for what you are growing. Tomatoes come in different types. Indeterminate, determinate, dwarf, and microdwarf. I give a real brief description. Indeterminate plants means they just keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. 10 feet tall, 12 feet tall. You're gonna have vines everywhere, and they are gonna last you all season until the frost hits them and kills them, as long as disease or something doesn't get them first. Determinate are usually shorter plants, about 3 to 5 feet tall. They usually set all their fruits within a short period of time, and you'll notice those plants start to die off when your other larger tomato plants are still growing. Dwarf is a determinate type usually, but some of them can be a little bit shorter. Microdwarf is what we talked about, which is great for the Aerogardens. And I also like to grow microdwarf tomatoes in my GreenStalk. I'm gonna do a full tower of microdwarf tomatoes in the GreenStalk because they stay small and they fit really well in all those pockets. So then you got peppers, eggplant, greens, strawberries, squash, herbs, potatoes, beans, flowers, corn. Grow what you like, grow what you want to eat. And as for flowers, there's even a lot of edible flowers out there that I like to grow, like nasturtiums. And then Baker Creek that I mentioned, they have Super Bisma petunias, which are edible petunias. So not only are they really pretty, but you can eat them. Dealing with pests, this is what most people want to know about. Aphids. Aphids are the devil, spawn of hell. Actually, all of these things are. But a lot of people freak out when they see aphids outside, when they are actually, in my opinion, the easiest pest to deal with outside. Why? Because you can just rinse them off with your water hose. If you see aphids on your greens or whatever, just put your water hose on. I like to use the flat setting or any other strong setting and rinse them off. Once you do that 2 or 3 times, they're gone. They don't come back. The blast usually kills them. Worms and caterpillars. These are the ones that everybody hates. Army worms, cabbage worms, and hornworms. They like different things. Army worms usually attack my tomatoes. Cabbage worms will go after all the brassicas, not just the cabbage, but any greens that you grow. And hornworms are those ugly, devilish things that look like aliens. If you roam some of the Facebook groups, you see people, oh, save them, don't kill it, it turns into a beautiful pollinator. Not if it eats your whole plant first. Why are you saving it? And that is the truth. That's not an exaggeration. 2 or 3 hornworms will eat all of the leaves off of one tomato plant in one night if you're not paying attention. That's why you have to go out there and check your garden every day. And they're the same color as the leaves, so sometimes they're hard to spot. Sometimes the first sign that you have them is seeing like the top of the branch has been stripped, or you see their poop underneath. Vine borers like to attack squash plants and zucchini, and they will burrow into the bottom of the stem, and they will pretty much eat out the middle, which causes the plant to die. Oh, I want to know, why do all these things exist? Slugs and pill bugs, AKA roly-polies. People try to tell me that roly-polies don't eat plants and won't bother your plants. I watched them eat my seedlings. I took pictures of them all over the leaves, eating holes in the leaves, so now they must go. And we already talked about squirrels, rabbits, and mice. So here are a few organic products that will help you get rid of all of these things. BT is specifically for the worms, the cabbage worms, the hornworms. It's organic. You spray this all over your leaves every couple of weeks, and what happens is when the worm starts to eat it, it slows down their digestive system and it kills them. Sluggo Plus is for the pill worms and slugs. This comes in like little granules that you sprinkle around where they are living or around the base of your plant, and they eat that and it gets rid of them. Neem oil. A lot of people love to use neem oil. I don't use it that much, but it helps with like bugs because it like gums them up. I use it when I mix up other stuff, but not ever usually on its own. Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew is another great organic one that can take care of a lot of bugs. So all of these things I keep in my repertoire and I use depending on what pest I'm dealing with at the time. That's some pretty peppers that I harvested. I see a dill head on top. A couple of years ago, I posted something about dill, and Demita was like, "What is that?" I said, "That's the dill heads." She was like, "Oh, I threw those all away." But that's what you save to make pickles. That part of the dill right there in the middle. What to do with your harvest? Eat them fresh, obviously. Cook them in meals. Preserve by canning, freezing, dehydrating, or freeze drying. That's a completely different workshop, so we won't get into all of that. But some of you have been munching on some of my salsa in the back. I brought several different types made with different things just to show that you don't have to stick with the traditional thought of what you think salsa is. I think I brought one that's a zucchini salsa. This one is green tomato salsa verde, eggplant salsa, yes. So there are a whole bunch of recipes out there where you can turn your produce into good things. And when you can something, it can stay on your shelf for years if done right. Like this one, that one I made in August 2021. And it's still sealed and still good, okay? Every now and then I'll go down in the basement and I grab something. I made spaghetti the other night with homemade sauce that I had previously canned from garden tomatoes. And even if you don't have a big garden, if you have just a little garden, remember those local farm stands and nurseries, because as their season goes on, they start selling their tomatoes and stuff. So if you find that you're short on the amount of tomatoes you want it to grow, go get a bushel of tomatoes from them. They have the aromas and all of that stuff if you want to try your hand at making tomato sauce or salsa or whatever. Share with family and friends or donate it. Donating is something I've been toying with, but I don't have the time right now, maybe when I finally get to retire. But some food pantries will allow you to donate produce and things like that, or you can just post on Facebook. People are always begging for my stuff. Let me get some of those green tomatoes. Okay, so this is last year's batch of herbs that I dehydrated from the garden. That big container on the right is actually chive blossoms. So chive plants, you are familiar with the green of the chive. When they go to seed, they form these gorgeous flowers, and you can use those in cooking too. If you eat them fresh, they can go on top of soup or whatever, or you can dry them out. I haven't done much with them yet. I just decided to save them just in case. Then we have some basil, Thai basil, tarragon, there's oregano, there's a lot of things there, and some dried peppers hiding there too. So I do a lot of dehydrating of my peppers and herbs, and I just added a freeze dryer not too long ago, so I'm going to work more with that this year. Because some things you can't can because it's considered not safe. For example, summer squash like zucchini, they say you can can it if you're doing something like the salsa or you're pickling it, but you can't just can it as is, okay? So I freeze dry a lot of zucchini and summer squash. So if I want to throw that in a casserole or something later, you just throw it in there and let it rehydrate. Let's see what else we've got. Cowboy candy, that's another favorite recipe. So these are all different types of jalapenos. Jalapenos do not only come green. So if you let a green jalapeno plant sit there long enough, they will turn red. And then you have lemon jalapenos and some others. I'm doing a full GreenStalk of different varieties of jalapenos. So I had to hunt down seeds. So I have over 30 varieties of jalapeno I'm gonna grow this year just for the heck of it. And I'm making a lot more cowboy candy. It's like a sweet, pickly relish, but it's really good.
Is it hot?
Yes, I mean, they're jalapenos. So here's the part everybody's been waiting for. So there are 2 very simple forms for the giveaway, and then I'm going to use my quick little random number generator to pick winners. Now, do me a favor, only enter the GreenStalk giveaway if you actually have somewhere to put it. And they are going to send it directly to you. I'll send you the link to their website. You pick from the current colors that they have available, and they are going to include the spinner base with wheels for you as well. I'll give you about 2 minutes to do that. Yeah, there's 2 different ones. So I'm going to pick a winner for the lead pot, which is right there. You take that home with you today, and then the GreenStalk will be shipped out. Yeah, it's just a Google Docs form on my site. Oh, are you serious? Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Give me a moment. I thought it said anyone who had the link.
It works for the hydroponics one.
Oh, I'm getting a bunch of emails. So I'm gonna click each one. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna click each one. Let me know when you're all done. Yes. I don't have what I would call a collard green tree, but I do grow collards, and they just grow that way. There are a bunch of different varieties of collards. Some of them get taller than others, and some have bigger leaves, some are shiny, some are not. So I'm not sure what was there, but they just grow that way. Very easy, as long as you can keep those bugs and worms off of them. Everybody done?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So, first, hold on. All right, first I'm going to pick a winner for the lead pot. 38 entries. Let me go to my random number generator. Pick a number between 1 and 38. Number 23. Let's see who that is. That would be Camille. Congratulations.
Wait, can you go back with her?
Oh, yep.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got it. Oh, you got it. Okay. Yeah. Very good.
Thank you. All right, now the big one. Seriously. Here we go. All right, the GreenStalk. 34 entries. Drum roll, please. Number 13. Cousin.
No.
Tamiko is not really my cousin, but I've always called her that because I was best friends with her cousin, Melinda, since we were born. Oh, wait, let's stand by the GreenStalk.
Okay.
Oh, I'm excited about this. So you
All right.
okay, you gotta stay.
Nice. Got it.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. Now,
suggest your next,
Yes, ma'am.
because I keep never doing it every year, caddy.
Panic?
Caddy.
Yeah, I'm scared to teach it. People, but you know what? I'll message you and give you some great links to other folks on YouTube that do a great job of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and books and things. And is the group on there? No, but I think I mentioned, I do have a Facebook preserving group. It's called The Preservatory. Okay, so if you want to join there, I have a couple of posts on getting started and I can link you to that.
Okay.
So again, let's give Kris a round of applause. I want to again thank you for coming out, members and the community, and just if you heard about it by word of mouth. I am Anna M. Horn. I am the chairperson of the Enhance Our Environment Committee under the Aerogarden Foundation. And this is one of our initiatives that includes a garden crawl. So if you feel that your garden will benefit or has benefited from this information that you learned at a certain point in time, please be sure to leave your email address with us and we'll do a review. We'll reach out to you because we're going to do, I know one for sure, garden crawl on the south side. And if you live in the south suburbs, we're going to do a garden crawl out there. So if you would like to be part of our garden crawl, and that would just include having a few people at your home to see what your garden looks like, and you can tell that you can share with whoever comes. It'll be an allotted time frame, not somebody's gonna come and take a seat and become your friend. But it's just, come stop by, see your garden, and you can tell us if you learned something from this workshop, and then we'll move on to the next house. But if you're interested in being part of our garden crawl, please be sure to leave your name and email address as well so that we can send out the slides to you. And again, thank you, Kris. And Janita Buffington is also a member of the Enhance Our Environment Committee, and she was responsible for getting Kris to come and talk to all of us.
And just on behalf of the Enhance Our Environment Committee, we have a little token here for Terry. All right, and so, okay, so we also had advertised that we were giving 25 gifts to the first 25 to register. However, as you've seen, Kris is very generous and has gone over the top. And so I believe,
we want to make sure that our guests get a gift first. So if you are a member of Theta Omega, the Aerogarden Foundation, please wait. We want to make sure that our guests get a gift first. And I also don't want to be remiss. I want to introduce Kim Collier, who is our Vice President, Program Chair. And do you have anything you might want to say?
You know, this is my favorite topic in the world. You speak my love language. I'm so excited about this. The Aerogarden Foundation has a whole range of programs for all of our community members. So we do these things on the environment. We'll be doing something for Arbor Day where we plant trees. We do economic empowerment events. We do social justice events. So if you don't mind, you leave your email and we'll be sending out all the programming that we have in this center. We believe in being of service. So did you enjoy this today?
Yes.
There is more to come and we will be in touch. Thank you so much. And can you give the chairman and the subcommittee chair a hand? Wait to see what we grow together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the guests, you can pick up a gift bag on the table over on this side where I'm pointing, a black bag, and if there are any left, source, you are welcome to grab one as well.
And there are some baggies back there. Please take some cookies. I don't know how you would get the salsa. You can't give away the jars. Kris said, leave her jars, but if you want to take some cookies and some fruit.